Okay, we are live. Welcome everyone to this monthly developer community call. We're super excited. How is going, Alejandro?
Hello, hello. Pretty good. How are you? I mean, this has been like really exciting weeks, a really exciting month. We had a really cool hackathon, and yeah, really good. How are you?
Oh, good, oh, good. Actually, like a lot of things to cover. I think like we are unpacking different kind of like activation. We're excited also to bring different kind of like update from partners and
Yeah.
even some internal updates. And yeah, a lot of things to cover for this like short 1 hour. So I would say like let's do it. Let's start. So what are we wanna go to talk about this time? So I don't know even if we're did we actually did a quick intro, Alejandro? Like maybe let's do it. Like you wanna quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah. So I'm a DevRel engineer at Consensus. Like we've been working together for more than 2 years already. And yeah, I've been working on creating tooling for developers to scaffold projects, content, videos, hackathons, and yeah,
It's crazy. Yeah.
how
How fast is is this time going, right? It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
less than 2 years. It looks like actually like less than months, and it's crazy how many things like we've been running, we've been doing, and it's great to actually have these calls to update the community, but also like getting the opportunity to people ask questions and kind of like give updates from partners and the ecosystem. Yeah, I'm Francesco. I'm also like part of the developer relation team. I'm super excited to actually like join this monthly call, costing with like great people and give updates for everyone. So let's get it started. So we're doing a quick introduction why we're doing these kind of calls, why it's so important to have these calls, and then we're kind of like diving deep into kind of like different slot. And this format, we're trying to keep it consistent every month. At the end of every month, we're getting you kind of updates from partners and what we're shipping internally, and also having the opportunity for builders in the ecosystem that are winning hackathons, that are actually like building cool stuff to actually present what they built and really give us like give us like this kind of like platform to advocate for what builders are actually doing around the ecosystem. So our second session will be actually run by Matt from Dynamic. We're actually speaking a little bit about how to actually build this connection between MetaMask and Dynamic. I think like we will actually give some kind of like not just slide, but also like a quick demo that will be actually exciting to hear. Then we have our own Christian Montoya from MetaMask actually giving some insights what's going on around the Snaps world and some of the new developer tooling for Snaps. And then we will close up with Marcus from Freename and ecosystem partners. So if you didn't see a lot of kind of like front on the DID announcement happened in the last couple of months, and he will actually talk about MetaMask and the universal digital identity. I would say let's do it. Which session are you looking forward to, Alejandro, this time?
Let's do it. As always, we have like really cool people and really cool projects. But I'm actually excited about I will say the three of them.
Nice.
So yeah,
Sounds good, sounds good. And remember also, like for the builder hearing us, quick housekeeping, we have the chats. They can actually ask any questions that we can bring it up to the speakers. And also in correlation with this monthly builders kind of like community calls, we also have a monthly like live coding session where we're actually coding things, debugging things in front of everyone for like 1+ hours, and we're building some use case. So that's actually exciting. We basically like build stuff with the delegation toolkit. We build stuff with the MetaMask SDK. So every month is kind of different. We also bring in partners, and I think last time we did one with delegation toolkit and Gaia was also with SDK. It was actually super interesting, and all those things are recorded, so you can actually like follow up. Okay, let's do it. So quick intro. So for the people that never kind of like came to this kind of community calls, we're doing this monthly. The goal is really to update on the kind of the MetaMask ecosystem, the MetaMask world, what we are kind of like shipping and working on, and also like doing a big other side of the medal is all about the ecosystem. So giving kind of a voice of all the partners out there, doing actually quite cool things around the ecosystem and giving opportunity to actually see what are those guys doing. And then the third big part is obviously like showing what the community is building right now with those instruments, those tooling, and giving kind of the floor to present what they're doing. So sometimes you will see hackathon winners presenting. Sometimes you will see kind of like these MetaMask DevCook Off hackathon winners coming and present. So a lot of kind of different diverse builders, they're actually coming and present what they built during this past activation. So it's like a mix of like sharing highlights of what we are shipping, so product updates, kind of like showing technical demos, and actually with the same format, with actually having different kind of like cadence at the end of every month. Did I forgot anything, Alejandro?
I think you explained it really, really well. And yes, this is a place for the community to meet, for the community and builders to meet other builders and projects. And yeah, so we're really excited about this.
Nice, 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 nice. Sounds good. And I think like one main activation was that we actually closed it up was last month. We actually finished up this MetaMask Dev Cook-off on SDK, and I think we had different highlights. I don't know if you want to kind of like show what was the highlights before actually we're starting with our next session.
Yeah, well, basically, we had a lot of really cool projects. You're looking at some of them on the slide right now. So it was a really, really cool activation. We had like 200, more than 200 participants, like a lot of really cool submissions that you can that we could see there, and we had like really, really cool winners. I hope we will have them in the future, in future community calls. But yeah, like really, really cool. We talk a lot with the community for this hackathon. We help them apply for the bounties and help them build their applications. And a lot of them actually build them by their own. So it was actually really, really cool, really, really cool feedback about the MetaMask Dev Cook Up. And yeah, super
Nice.
excited about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're keep going, right? I think like the
Yeah.
perception, the
Yeah.
feedback is great. So we're kind of like showing up also with different kind of like tooling around the MetaMask developer offering. And I mean, this month, I think for anybody, this month is all about the MetaMask delegation toolkit, Dev Cook-off.
Yeah.
So this is ongoing, and I think we will actually touch a little bit like later. But we just want to kind of like mention we're super excited about this, and this is a 2 weeks plus. We actually will announce like today and tomorrow that we will extend the deadline for this. We got really good like feedback. So people that are actually like want to build apps and kind of like integrate the delegation toolkit SDK in their app is welcome and is welcome to submit here. This is in coordination and cooperation with Gaia, and it's a total of I think if I remember correctly, it's a 10K total price. So it's actually quite excited
Yeah.
for having people actually building online. So I
Yeah.
think we're good to go, right? Let's actually like invite our first guest, Matt. Is a pleasure to have you here on stage. Let me untoggle here our screen. How is going? Welcome to this is monthly kind of like update. It's an honor to have you here. You want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Start by clearing my throat. I'm at a work at Dynamic and normally in Poland. It's a US and remote-based company. I'm in the desert in Arizona today. Nice to
Ooh,
speak to you. And
amazing.
because we have so much to go through, I don't want to take away from any of the other sessions. We'll be as swift as possible. Should we begin?
Oh yes, let's do it. Love the background, by the way.
It's a pleasure, as you say. All right. So look, I'm going to start on Linea. It's one of my favorite things to do. Generally
Let's
start
do
my
it.
day on Linea in some form. Okay, so what we're going to talk about very briefly is the new version of the MetaMask SDK, which is created, to be honest, for us at Dynamic, and I'll explain what we do as we go through, a huge number of benefits, including like universal links, the stability in general. If you're connecting to MetaMask on any dApp, the new SDK is simply, yeah, I can only use the word a pleasure again to use. So what do you want to do if you're building authentication and wallet connections and you want someone to connect with MetaMask? It might not be the only option you want to give them, depending on your audience. Why Dynamic exists is because there is this kind of gulf, as you could put the one user on one side and your dApp on the other, or whatever it is, chain, doesn't matter. and there's a bridge in between, and some of those steps are kind of a bit rickety at the moment, you know, they kind of fall off. You have to jump, you know, you have to jump in the words you need to learn. You have to jump in the steps you need to take, whether it's gasless, or bridging and that kind of thing. There is a bridge, literally, between your potential user and the dApp. So our job is to give you as many ways as possible to make that bridge as small as possible and as fun as possible to cross without any fear of looking down. So to give the user a pleasurable experience. And MetaMask is a huge part of that, right? So for the Linea bridge, you'll see dynamic in action right here. If you want to connect a wallet in order to go through the bridge process, that's exactly what you do. You see it's powered by dynamic. So if I connect MetaMask right here, this is actually powered by the MetaMask SDK. We use the MetaMask SDK under the hood to handle this connection through MetaMask. So anytime you use dynamic, you get the best of what MetaMask has to offer, which is extremely powerful. And then you can carry on and do your bridging. It's amazing. So you're connected, you can see your profile. You can, even if you want, do things like deposit into your app, send from the app, and we have things like global wallets. You can get an embedded wallet, take it with you. The premise here is that you should get the best of MetaMask and have a superset of things beyond that. Like I'll show you in the demo. Here's connect with MetaMask right here, always at the top. Very good news. But you also have email, Google, and everything else, phone, whatever you want. Again, we have the deposit flows. So if you end up like you've connected with a newly created MetaMask account, maybe you want to go and deposit, you can deposit from one of your other external wallets. Maybe you're porting over from Phantom or something else. You can buy directly from Coinbase or receive by QR. Generally, we want to give people smooth on-ramps to having a good experience, since MetaMask is so easy to start with as well. So we want to combine the best of an EOA with what you're used to in Web 2. Why am I telling you this? Because recently, when we launched with the new MetaMask SDK, you can visit Relay for this. This is just a tweet, I'll share it in the thread. But like when you visit Relay on mobile and you connect through MetaMask, because of the universal links, you can see here in the video, I'll try and restart it. You visit it in the in-app browser from MetaMask directly, and you're done. It's beautiful. You just start swapping.
Nice.
So this you can do today with MetaMask and Dynamic. Really, really cool. I'll just walk you through the resources for it. Here is the original, or rather here, I think is the original MetaMask demo directly with Connect wallet through MetaMask. And here is the version with Dynamic. And it's exactly the same. Uses the MetaMask SDK under the hood, and you get that super set of stuff like user management, embedded wallets, and the rest of it, as well as the best of MetaMask. So what you can actually do here is access the MetaMask SDK provider in your code. It doesn't mean you're isolated from the MetaMask SDK at all. It's synchronized. So if you go to docs.metamask.io, and in the SDK quick start, there's a guide for the dynamic integration. Thank you for everyone who helped put this together. Walks you through the structure. So here you can sync with WAGMI as well. You sync with Dynamic, and all you do is just add the providers. So you add the context provider from Dynamic. That's it. Dynamic's good to go. Then if you're using WAGMI, you add those providers, including the query client. And then you can also start accessing the MetaMask SDK if you need to. But our job is not to cut you off from anything that is available in MetaMask, because it's phenomenal, all of the stuff you can do. Our job is to give you that and more on top, so you don't have to use extra time to build all this other stuff. You can spend that time doing cool stuff with MetaMask and snaps and everything else we'll learn on this call. All right, so
Nice.
That's the guide. I'll drop these things in the link afterwards. Bottom line is kudos for the new SDK version. It's amazing. If you want to use that on top of other stuff to reduce and make this bridge between your user and the dApp just more fun, more pleasurable, and easier for you. You don't want to spend time dealing with email OTPs, phone OTPs, everything else, and all of the edge cases like multi-wallet, when you're connecting multiple wallets from different chains, stuff like that. We got you. Focus on having fun with MetaMask and Christian in the team.
Nice.
That's it.
Nice, Matt. I mean, that's I like it. Like Alejandro, you've been involved a lot with the also with the CLI with the SDK. Like, what was your experience with the dynamic SDK?
It was actually quite easy to implement. So really cool actually to be able to have a social login, email login, phone number login, wallet login, and multiple wallets login, like quite easily. And I've been also playing around with the dashboard and looking at the registration that we have. So actually, really, really cool and really easy onboarding. So congrats on that because you have done a really, really good job. So yeah, great.
Amazing.
This is so cool. And
If
Matt,
you
what?
need, oh
Go for
sorry,
it. Go for it.
if you have any
No, go for it.
questions on the guide, give either of us a shout. Like the team here, my own team. Yeah, we got you. Can be on Twitter. What's the best way, both of you, to get in touch when people have questions?
Well,
Twitter.
so yeah,
Twitter.
Twitter. We will send
Cool.
over like some links. Like people also can check like the consider like Discord. Like there is a bunch of like ways. There is even like a discourse on SDK. We have even like a Telegram MetaMask developer chat specific to SDK. I think we already got different question around the dynamic specifically. Matt, quick question since we have you here on the on the kind of like the update stream like you were talking a lot with like builders in general. Like, what do you think like normally is kind of the biggest kind of challenge that they have when building? Is like the connection side, because like there is a lot of like different lessons learned here that you can share with the builders out there.
Of course, yeah. Hard question to answer in a sentence in a minute.
It's difficult.
But yeah, of course. No, look, the challenge is knowing. Look, on one side you have usability, right? Like something could give you an all-in-one UI for wallet connections, everything. We have that too, thanks to MetaMask as well. And on the other side, you have flexibility, building an experience that isn't looking like anything else and represents your brand and exactly the journey you want people to go through. And it's very hard to find the line, right? Like, do you do everything headless with hooks? Do you try and use UI components from something? Do you let Devin and Cursor and Windsurf have a crack at it?
Yeah.
So finding that balance is really interesting. So I think starting with like design first, throw everything else out the window, everything you've seen. Start with like the best apps you've used, the best onboarding you ever experienced, and design that into your app. And then go one lower level and see what hooks you need to achieve that. And then with the MetaMask SDK with Dynamic, like just give us a shout and we can give you what those hooks are. But try and find that balance in between, like, okay, what's going to be fast to
Yes.
build, easy to maintain, and flexible enough that we can adapt it when you inevitably grow. Fair enough?
Nice. Yeah, no, I think like a lot of like builders will appreciate also like this kind of like lesson learned and recommendation. And we will send out also like both the CLI link, both some like docs. Make sure also like you send out your kind of like X handle or something like that people can always reach out. And thanks so much for coming and giving updates, Matt. Looking forward also like to the next time. I think like we will definitely have you more on these updates. A lot of good stuff happening.
Amazing. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Matt.
Matt.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Okay. So I think like we are good to go. I think next session will be all on the specific snaps. So I think like we can get it going. Alejandro, I think like you've been around also for the SDK and the CLI. I think like people already starting using. There was a lot of like efforts going there,
Yeah.
and I think is giving a lot of like smooth experience also on the user side.
Yeah. Actually, being able to get these applications like this, both the one with the SDK and the other one with Dynamic through the CLI is actually quite cool and simple to get and quite helpful because you can get already a running application with these implementations without doing basically anything. And yeah, you can start building from there, and that's the idea. So yeah.
Agree. And also with the new SDK, I mean, you saw it probably in the DevCook Off hackathon on SDK,
Yeah.
right? Like people had less and less kind of like problems implementing it. What are like the top use case that you saw kind of like being built with SDK today?
I still a lot of DeFi
Mhm.
applications, but also AI agents. I saw some of them. But yeah, mostly DeFi. Actually, one of the winner was a wheel stuff. Like
Mhm.
they had this cool project where they can get your digital assets and they can create a will with that for
Nice.
inheritance and all that. So it's actually quite cool. And those were like most of the cool cases that we saw. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So excited. Okay, let's move on to our next guest. I will untoggle here my screen and welcome Christian on the stream. So Christian, welcome to the stream. I think you are probably the most used to kind of like coming to those like developer community calls every month. It's an honor to have you here. You want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. Yeah, so I'm the product lead for the network expansion group at MetaMask, and also have been working on Snaps for quite a while. So happy to be talking
Nice.
about new developer tools for Snaps developers.
Nice. I'm always impressed by your kind of like real background here, like because we definitely need to do a session on
Yeah,
that on
I've
the
had people
posters out
ask
there.
me if it's like an image, like a virtual background, and I'm like, no, that all that stuff is really there.
That's a
Yeah, I think the
MetaMask
pillow.
pillow.
It's a
Yeah.
MetaMask pillow. Yeah, MetaMask
Oh, that's awesome.
institutional. Yeah, it's a one of two in the world, actually.
Okay.
This is so cool.
It's
Okay, yeah, Christian.
amazing.
So what are we speaking about around the snaps today?
Yeah, so we have a really cool tool, and I'm going to share my screen if that's all right.
Nice. Perfect.
So we've been working on making it easier for developers to test their snaps and essentially like build as they go, right? But first, I'll give a quick introduction, like what is snaps, right? So snaps is we call them like wallet Legos. They're like mods that you can install in MetaMask. So they're apps that are built by third-party developers, right? Developers from the community, developers like yourselves, and when you publish a snap and then get it allow listed through our allow list process, anyone can install your snap into MetaMask, right? Into the MetaMask extension. And so we have a huge variety of snaps that people can install. We have things like snaps for different blockchain networks, security snaps, identity snaps, snaps that add different kinds of like account management solutions. And to give you an idea, like when you go to install a snap, you'll see information about it, right? So this is the MetaMask extension. This is actually Flask for developers. It has the cool wireframe Fox, but it'll show information about what the snap does. And then when you install it, it'll actually run inside of MetaMask and add new features, right? So it can add like new UI, new functionality. And so, to give you an idea, we actually have one of the fastest growing category of snaps right now is name resolution, right? So these are new identity providers adding support for different types of names. There's different, for Vera names, Hyperliquid, Sonic, all these different blockchains, things like Space ID and Unstoppable, Farcaster names, Lens names. We have all these right here. So these allow you to add support for different kinds of name services. And so you'll hear from Freename later. So Marcus will be on talking about that as well. But I just thought that'd be really cool to show you that that's one of the snaps that you can install. But I'm going to show you a new developer tool. This developer tool is called the Snap Sandbox. So if you're building a snap, you may use the CLI, right? It's a package that you can install locally as you're building your snap, and it provides a bunch of cool features. It has a builder, an evaluator. It'll test the manifest for you. You can actually serve the snap locally and interact with it. But it has this new feature called the sandbox. So to show you an idea, like here I have, this is how you can add the CLI locally to a project. I have it installed already, so it's just gonna probably just skip that. But essentially, I have that installed locally in a project, and then I can do things like yarn run snap build, right? That's how I build my snap and actually get it packaged up. I can do things like yarn run snap manifest. This will just validate the manifest for me, and it tells me here the snap manifest is valid. It's of course keeps reminding me I don't have an icon snap, but that's okay. This is just a production, like a thing that I'm building right now. But now there's a new feature where you can run a sandbox. And the idea with the sandbox is essentially like you may have a snap that doesn't have a website, it doesn't have a dApp that you're building with it, or you just need a really easy way to test how your snap functions. So you run it, and then this is what you'll see. So this sandbox, it's a website. It's generated for you. It has essentially an interface for you to make your request to your snap and then see the response. Okay, so it's very simple. It has, a step. So the snap that's running at this URL is not installed. So it's going to ask me to install it, right? So I'm going to go through here and I'm essentially installing the snap that I'm building. I've called it ID lookup. So it's just something I've been, playing around with. I started building it last night just as an example. And I'm actually in the snap, I'm using the Space ID API because it's very simple to use, and it's an API that I can use for free. And so I'll show you just a little preview of the code. Again, very simple. These are RPC request handlers, and there's just a couple methods that I've implemented. There's a name lookup and an address lookup, and all it's going to do is fetch from the Space ID API with the parameters, and I'm just going to give back the result, right? So I'm just going to get some JSON back, and I'm just going to give it back to the site, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on the sandbox how I can test this, right? So I can modify this, and I can say, okay, I want to do a name lookup.
You want to zoom it a little bit?
Yes, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here.
Nice.
No, I'm going to have to fetch an address here in a second, but then I can do like a address is, and then of course now I have to look up an address, right? So I'll give you an example here of one. Here's a name lookup, and the address being chain ID. That you have to give it a chain ID. So this is Ethereum mainnet, and then this address here, this is an Ethereum address, right? And then I just click execute request, and then here's the response that I got back from the Space ID API. So this is actually the name that's registered for this this address is actually Vitalik.eth. So this is Vitalik's Ethereum address. And so this is just spitting back the result from the Space ID API. And now this makes it very easy for me to test this, right? So similarly, if I give an address, I mean, this is an address that I haven't done anything with. So if I change this here and then run it again, I'm going to see there's no domain for this address, right? So this address doesn't have a domain. Similarly, the other interface I've been playing around with is you can look up a name. So this is spaceid.bnb. So then I'm going to execute this one, and I see the response. It gives me back the address for that name, right? So this is the address that's registered to that name. So, and I can do like other things here. I can do like, okay, what's mine, right? And run this and execute, and it takes a moment, but this is the address that I use with that name. And I can do other, other examples here. I can do like is this, does this one exist? No, there's no corresponding address that exists for this one, but I'm just essentially looking up anything that exists in the Space ID API, and the sandbox just makes it very easy for me to try out different things and just see like the input and response. Obviously, it can also give me errors. So if I execute this, I have this invalid params, right? So I actually, I can try different things, but also, I mean, if I make an error, see, this actually disables because this is not valid anymore. And it actually shows me, this is really cool. It's showing me like a validation of this, right? So I can actually do this and then see the problem. And this is like an editing interface. It's like a live JSON editing interface and a live like JSON validation interface that it's giving me for JSON RPC, because JSON RPC can be pretty hard to work with. Obviously, I can also configure the settings. And then I'll show you one last thing that's really fun with this. Obviously there's a built-in, the example snap has a built-in hello method that pops up a dialog. So the snap is actually running, it's installed in MetaMask. It's just using what's running in MetaMask. But then the other thing is I've been playing around with, okay, maybe changing the response type here. So I'll just walk you through. This will take like 1 more minute and then I'll be done. So this is returning a dialog instead of just returning the response from the API. And it's using custom JSX UI. So this is the new custom UI that snaps can use. I have a few different components here, a box, a section, a heading, and then rows with the address as the input, and then the response, the actual name that's returned, or it'll be not found in this case. And so I'm going to have to rebuild my snap now because I've changed the code. So I'm going to do a couple of things here. I'm going to run build again, and then run the sandbox again. And then here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back over here, and I need to uninstall and reinstall my snap. So I go into the snaps menu and uninstall here, remove, yep. And then I'm going to refresh this. Now it's going to ask me to install the snap again. And now I think it'll be when I do an address lookup like this one. Yes. So I'm going to click execute request. And then now it's actually giving me a dialog. So this one was not found. Okay. And then the other one that we did, I think, was this one. Let's see. Maybe it was this one. No, it's showing me the input of what I had done before. So I did a name lookup here. Okay, right? Execute request. Yes. And now I'm going to do this address lookup here, which I think is on chain ID 56. Here we go. And then this execute request. And now, yep, that one resolves to space ID.bnb. And if I wanted to add one more thing, I could put the chain ID in the result so you could see the chain ID of the resolved name. But yeah, that's essentially how the sandbox works. It comes in the Snaps monorepo and the Snaps CLI. So if you just update to the latest version of the Snaps CLI, you'll have the sandbox, and you'll be able to do that for testing your JSON RPC interfaces, and it'll help you as you're building out your Snap. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share today. Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah, really, really cool. I think this sandbox was actually needed because every time that I was building with the snaps, I had to create at least one connect wallet button or this base application to start testing it. And, so this is actually
Yeah.
quite cool.
Yeah, no, and I when I was doing it, I would like open up the console and try making calls to my Snap, and then I had to like try to get back the responses to the console, and it was like really painful.
Yeah.
So now it's like I actually have an easy way to do that. Yeah.
That's super
Really
cool.
nice.
Yeah, we should definitely also like share the links that Christian sent. And Christian, before like you jumping off, like any kind of snaps that didn't that has not been built that you wish would be there?
Well, I definitely want to see more identity type of snaps. And there's a bunch of name resolver services that are integrating with snaps. The next thing is sort of like more tools that give you information about an address when you're interacting with it, right? So the ones that can actually show insights in a transaction or a signature request. So more different types of snaps that essentially tell you information about an address and like, has that address been involved in malicious activity? Or maybe if you're interacting with a contract, like you can show if it's verified on Etherscan, if there's any information about it. If it's a token address, you could even pull in like people who are talking about it on Firecaster or X, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of really cool integrations you can build. But yeah, essentially like we just want to see more snaps that are building like innovative ways to protect users. And that's the kind of stuff that we like to see.
Is there any kind of limitations to start building with snaps, or users can be, developers can be like as creative as they want?
Yeah, I mean, I tell people like if you know JavaScript, you can start building snaps. And nowadays, like maybe you don't even have to know JavaScript if you want to play around with like vibe coding, right? But essentially, like we have tutorials in our documentation that in about 5 minutes you can build your first snap. And in about 30 minutes, you can build a snap that does like custom UI and has like interactive interfaces and everything. And so then it's really just, I mean, the only limitation is like your imagination. You can do like fully interactive UI inside of MetaMask. You can build a homepage snap that actually has its own interactive home inside of MetaMask. You can also build transaction and signature insights that will show up when a user is going through either a transaction or a signature flow. And you can, take the payload of that request and then, run it through different like security services or different like lookup services, and then show all kinds of interesting information about it. And then you can actually make that section that shows the insights, you can make that interactive. So you can then build really cool things like, okay, ask more information about it. You can even put like a chat agent interface, right? You can allow a user to like ask ChatGPT about it, like find more information or search information about it on social media. And so you can build a lot of really cool things with it. It's really just, we love to see more developers trying different things.
Nice.
And also we shared here like the link that you just shared, Christian, on the Snap CLI. And so assuming like I'm building a Snap right now, what's the process to get in this kind of like main directory? Like I assume there is some steps on the security side, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so we have a section in our docs that's about like how to build your snap and go through the different steps. There's a how-to section, and it even goes into like how to test it and debug it, and then how to publish it and get allow listed. So when you get to the section on get allow listed, it actually leads you to a form where you sign up as a snap builder. And we have a group within our like customer success group called Builder Engagement that will actually support you, reach out and help you like whatever information you need about building your snap. And then like they'll help walk you through like the whole onboarding and allow listing process. And so it explains there like everything you need, like whether or not your snap needs to get an audit, and what you should submit to us to get into our directory. And then basically like within a couple weeks, like if everything looks good, we can get your snap allow listed, and then you'll be able to, you know, have the over like 30 million monthly active users of MetaMask try out your snap.
That's impressive. I mean, if I would be like building tooling right now, we definitely think about something like that, right? In terms of like getting the reach, but also like the distribution in terms of like the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think Francesco, you just need to take like a day off and go build a cool snap. You know,
I know. So many things, and
There
now
are no
I don't
day
have
off.
any more excuses.
You're just
You
a
have to
busy
rely
guy.
on me.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's
No.
exactly.
But I think like you're like the Snaps team in general, like you like every time there is new tooling available, like you know from the CLI. I remember back in the days we had the wish list, so there is a lot of like use case specific. There is no excuses anymore to not take the day off to do
Right,
Snap.
right. Yeah. I mean, we built it with the intention of like, what are the kinds of products that we want to see? So it's very much a product driven platform, right? So it's like there's some clear guidelines about like, okay, these are some types of products that you can build. And it's really cool, especially if you're starting out as like a new builder, or you're looking into doing like a hackathon project, right? Or you're like trying to get your feet wet with like building like wallet functionality. There's some really cool like, you know, there's some really cool like boundaries for the types of things that you can build that are really like useful, right? It's like things that our users have been asking for. And when you look in the Snaps directory, there's amazing examples. You can go look at the source code and learn about how they're built, right? And that gives you a lot of inspiration for things that you can build as well.
I mean, the fact that it's built in public, is open source, is also giving an opportunity to other builders to actually check it out. I think this is truly like permissionless innovation at its best.
Right, exactly. I agree.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Christian. It was a pleasure. I think like we definitely need to get these updates more from you, and hopefully like people can reach out, can see you at both the Builder Night Solana edition while Solana Accelerate is happening, and I assume ECC. So please reach out and connect with Christian on these topics. A lot of things are being shipped those days.
Yeah. I'll see everyone next month in New York City. Great talking to you.
Awesome, pleasure. Thank you so much, Christian. Okay, cool. So let's do it. I think we are in our last session of the day. Alejandro, how is it going? Everything good?
Really, really good. Like as I mentioned, this is like impressive people, impressive builders, really cool projects, dynamic MetaMask snaps. It's actually quite exciting about this and what they are building right now. The sandbox is actually a really good feature for the Snap CLI, because actually it's helping developers to test their snap like quickly. And I think if right now we have like really cool snaps, probably we're going to start seeing more of them in the future for sure.
I mean, there are some that are really like using kind of like a day-to-day, right? The non-EVM snaps. I mean, the IDs, there is a lot of like things, especially kind of on name resolution snaps. It's super interesting. And I think also on the tooling side, it's easier to get also the snaps on the ground. It's just, I think it's also getting, I mean, it's also an optimization, right? Like Snaps has been around for I mean, was launched back in permissionless, like, right? And if you think about, there is a lot that happened during this time, right? In terms of also tooling, making life easier of developers, and not even counting, that we are a developer team that actually want to make life easier for the developer hearing us right now, right? So if you need tooling, if you need kind of like better or even new tutorial types on different cool Snaps, SDK, delegation toolkit, you name it, like we are there also like to support any developer out there. Oh, I think we're good. Let's get actually like Marcus on board for our third and last section of the date. Marcus, how is going? It's a pleasure to have you here. Let me untoggle here the agenda. How is going? It's an honor to have you here. You want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey everybody. It's definitely an honor to be here as well. I'm Marcus with Freename, Community Manager at Freename. We're actually one of your newest Snap integration partners, and yeah, it was super cool because everything you guys have said pretty much leads up to like kind of our value
Yeah.
proposition in the space and makes it make sense.
There is a reason of this agenda, right? Like we spoke about the IDs snaps, and it's great to actually like finish up with actually like a project that does the IDs and build a snap. We kind of like got the overview a little bit before from Montoya, but I would love to actually like show actually how Freename works and how it kind of like is fine-tuned for users. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see, MetaMask and Universal Digital Identity, as was demonstrated earlier, there are quite a few snaps that are related to digital identity. There are a lot of namespaces out there. Currently, well, I think most people's experience with MetaMask as far as native namespace resolution has been with ENS. So currently, the only thing that's plug and play is to type in an ENS name to resolve to a wallet address on the other end. And I'm assuming, I probably shouldn't assume that everyone knows what digital identity is, but digital identity is essentially taking a Web3 domain name that can resolve to a wallet address, and you're able to type in a human readable name into an address bar to send money, and somebody's able to send it or send it back to you rather than having to copy and paste the wallet address. So how does that relate to us? There's quite a few things, and this is where our technology and our Snap comes into play. Because again, as you can see, there are a substantial amount of name services. We are a namespace ourselves, first and foremost. We are a multi-chain namespace. One of the unique offerings that we also allow people to do is create their own namespaces. So the first utility of our Snap would be obviously to resolve our namespace. So whether you're an individual investor who is issuing namespace on behalf of a project that you have or on behalf of a passion, or if you're an entire project or developer that needs to create a namespace, we already have a turnkey solution that enables you to do that. And there's multiple other things that we do in the domain space. The technology that we've created for the Snap itself, however, is actually our multi-namespace or our universal namespace resolver. From our inception, again, we've understood the importance of universal usability of digital identity. Again, at its simplest use case, most people are going to interact with MetaMask to again send payments to another person or to log into a DApp. But for the most part, most people interact with wallets to type in an address to send money to somewhere else. And if they have to download 100 snaps in order to cover all the namespaces that are out there to make sure that their money will get to the end destination or that that domain will resolve, it still creates a barrier of entry for quote unquote normies. So from our inception, while we've built our namespace, we've also created our resolver on the back end, and that's the technology that allows the human readable address to resolve to the wallet address. We've included other namespaces in that resolver. You're already able to use ENS natively. Our namespace resolver includes ENS as well. So if you're developing using like our API or SDK for the first time, and you aren't currently integrating ENS, if you just integrate our resolver directly, you'll get ENS along with Freename. But we also include unstoppable domains, base name service, as well as mirrored DNS names as well. DNS domains as well, which is like your .coms, your .xyzs, .ais that have been tokenized and turned into crypto wallet addresses. We will continue to expand that to include more namespaces so that when a person integrates our resolver, they don't have to then go down the list and search for other resolvers. They are truly able to use this wallet with the single resolver to send money to any namespace that pretty much is relevant or exists. And yeah, so that is the basic technology behind our universal namespace resolver. An illustration of kind of how our experience with MetaMask, or most name services experience in MetaMask outside of the Snap program, typically works is, again, anything outside of ENS usually typically didn't resolve. The old way that most people have to resort to sending currency back and forth between wallets is to copy paste the wallet address in. We all know the security, the security implications and things with that, and how that can go wrong in a million ways. Now, of course, the new way is to type in simply a humanized name. In our case, there's a million combinations you can use outside of .eth. So again, we empower people to create their own namespace because every project has, personalization, branding. There are multiple use cases for having your own namespace. But yeah, now that namespace does work inside of MetaMask. And so I wanted to show you, I'm going to share my screen again.
In the meantime, we also like publish the snaps, the Freename resolution snap on the chat if anybody want to kind of like test it out. And this is basically like working on production. You can just through 2-3 clicks and you have your snap automatically installed in your session. You can actually do name resolution.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to find this this other window real quick. If you don't mind bearing with me, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask right now as well.
I think we're good. We have some question from the audience. I'm just yes, there you are.
Are you able to see
Yes,
MetaMask screen?
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. So here's one of the sample wallets that I have to kind of show you how our snap works a little bit in demo format. Obviously, you send money to someone, you will go to the send. I will go to iHeartDomains.eth. Again, all ENS addresses automatically are natively integrated within, already work within MetaMask itself. But as you can see here, even on .eth, you will see 2 records because this is our resolver working within the MetaMask snap, as well as however MetaMask is or however ENS is natively integrated within the snap. And also just to kind of show you what I'm talking about as well. I currently only have our Freename resolver snap installed inside of this wallet. So ENS was going to resolve no matter what. I also have iHeartDomains.x. Sorry for the typos, which is an unstoppable domain name, which, as you see, now this is our resolver at work resolving a name outside of our namespace, which unstoppable is one of the names that's integrated within there. And then as well as custom names that you can create on Freename, such as WinAirdrop. And so, yeah, that's exactly how our names resolver works. It's pretty simple. Again, the ultimate goal is to keep things simplified for normies coming into the space. Obviously, if they're coming to the space and they're coming from communities outside of ENS, which I really anticipate many doing. I anticipate the rest of the bubble coming in through dApps. I anticipate the rest of the bubble coming in through other blockchains that suit their needs outside of ENS. I don't think, and ENS already is kind of a saturated namespace, and it's a premium for a lot of people. So when all those people come into the namespace, we give all those people an easy way to use MetaMask by just downloading one snap. And then again, our resolver and our SDK is also, you can directly build with it if you're a developer, if you want to resolve the namespace within your own dApp, and that's good for reverse resolution and all kinds of other stuff. So yeah, there you go.
Nice. Shout out to you to actually do like the demo, like online, but it's great. I mean, this is working, and it's actually great to see how kind of like a DoD snap will work in real life. And I think it will benefit also a lot of like users owning already those domains, right? So there is a lot of things happening. Alejandro, do you have any questions? I think it's quickly for me.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. A really cool way to start like making it easier for regular users, which I think it's one of the biggest barriers that we have in Web3. So this is actually quite cool. I have one question about how are you linking the name that you are creating with the address? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, so we use reverse resolution. You set your record, and that's basically to describe. Well, the easiest way to describe it when you set reverse resolution is you're signaling and you're stamping on the blockchain that this name and this address are one and the same. And so reverse resolution works back and forth. If you type in the name to somewhere that resolves to a wallet address, you'll see the wallet address on the other end. If you type the name into something that can resolve a wallet address, it'll show the name on the other end.
Okay, I got it. It's amazing. Yeah, quite cool.
Nice. So what are the next steps on the Freename side now that you have the snap?
So our next step. Yeah, so as I said, our next steps are to integrate more namespaces. right? Because the ultimate goal of our universal resolver, again, is to make it so that people don't have to download a bunch of snaps. Integrations with partners, right? So the more integrations that we have for utility, in the general space, again, there's a lot that you can do with domain names besides just send and receive cryptocurrency. There's digital communications, there's decentralized web building. Connecting with partners. And again, we love to get our universal resolver in as many dApps as humanly possible.
Nice. I think that's someone is asking, what is reverse resolution?
Yeah, and that's what I just answered prior. So it's if you go within any namespace and in our namespace, you have an opportunity to essentially marry a domain name to your wallet address on the blockchain. And so it is literally a blockchain transaction that makes them one and the same, that their identities are interchangeable. So instead of, that's essentially what it is. And it's very good for security mechanics because that's an ultimate stamp of identity. Anyone can go and see stamped on the blockchain that this, in fact, belongs to this because there's a blockchain record of it.
Nice. That's super useful, Marcus. I think I really appreciate that you guys came and actually present what the Snap is all about. What is kind of the roadmap here around Freename. I think we definitely need more kind of the idea awareness around the ecosystem, and you guys have been pioneering that with other companies. So thanks so much for actually coming here and present this to our community.
Thank you guys for having me. And again, if you guys have any questions, we are always open and available for it, but I appreciate being here.
Yes, we will send over some links. Awesome. Thanks, Marcus, so much. Awesome. Okay. So I think we are in our kind of last part of the call. So which session do you actually enjoy the most, Alejandro?
I enjoyed the three of them, which, I mean, they are all really, really cool builders and developers and really cool projects. Freename is actually quite cool. I think this is one of, as I mentioned, the biggest problems that we had here in Web3. So every tool that makes the UX simpler, it's actually an amazing tool to build right now. So actually, that's also what Dynamic does. I mean, you have social logins, you have email login, you have phone number login. So it's actually taking embedded wallets and wallets to people that doesn't understand basically what's a wallet. So that's actually quite good in a really cool way to improve the UX on Web3 in Web3. So I think if I have to say one, I would say Dynamic, because also I was really involved with the demo that he showed. So and my opinion is biased, but
I think
but good. All of them were really good.
Nice. Yeah, I mean the fact that also you're super involved with MetaMask SDK those days. On the DevRel side, I think it's I think wallet connection is one of the major kind of bottleneck that dApps builder has when they actually need to interact with this tooling, and I think that's why also I'm always excited about what we're shipping around MetaMask SDK and make kind of the life easier for developers out there, right? Okay, sounds good. And I think again, before closing up, I just want to remind everyone that we have our MetaMask delegation toolkit. DevCook Off is still going on. I think it's for the past kind of for another kind of 2 weeks or something. So it's exciting. So for people actually building, we also put different use case you can actually check out. It's I can actually show you a little bit where to explore this. Basically, when you're going on here, I will just show you guys. So if you're going on the HackWest hackathon here, you can actually see specifically here the MetaMask delegation toolkit. And what you can actually see here, and that's very cool. Every time it's getting better and better. Apart seeing actually an overview here of what's it's all about, we are also pushing different videos around how to actually build something. And also we have different tracks, both from the MetaMask delegation toolkit and Gaia specific. But I really like this part, a part of the resources that you can actually see specifically what resources you want to check, docs pages, guides. I really like this kind of idea bank. So basically in this idea bank, you can actually see, I don't know like if you like any specific idea, Alejandro, here, but the fact that there is an idea bank or kind of like a wish list of ideas, it gives us a lot of clarity of what people want to build, right?
Yeah. I think that's super helpful because one of the main problems that we face in hackathons is that what do I want to build? What am I going to build? Because there are like a lot of stuff, and you probably have to think in a small problem or something that you want to do. That's something that's not easy because you have to solve something. So these ideas right here solve some kind of problems, like general problems that you could get more specific. But in general, all of these are really good implementations and quite easy for you to start building with the GTK and Gaia for sure.
Agree. There is a lot of things that are happening. Okay, I think like we are good to go. I just wanna kind of like mention thanks everyone for actually listening. Check out both the MetaMask DevCook Off delegation toolkit. Check out like probably this recording. We will send over like some links. You will also see a lot of like links in both the newsletter, but also like in our community channels. And I just wanna like kind of like thanks all our speakers of today. And everybody that made this call kind of like happening. There is a lot of work in the background, coordinating not just speaker, but also like being on the background to coordinate all the moving parts of this monthly committee calls. And I really like, appreciate everybody's time to take this. This is like a very packed 1 hour. And the fact that it's happening at the end of the month is giving a lot of like energy to provide you the best possible content and ecosystem kind of updates around our community. Thanks so much, Alejandro, also like for coming and co-hosting with me. Cool. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
And
you.
any closing words, Alejandro? All good. We're good to go.
All good. I think we're really good to go and see you in the DTK that could come. So yeah.
Yes, sounds good. See you guys next month. And perfectly, this time we literally ran over 1 hour, 1 minute. Awesome. Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone. Cheers. See you next month.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.